y'all. Thank you for having me. I very rarely get introduced at all. It's always nice. Like Chris Cillizza, it always sounds good.
You're an institution.
Yeah.
Washington Post, now Substack.
Way to butter me up. Somebody told me when I was like 23, the most important 3 letters in news is NEW. So I want to ask you 2 quick new questions, and then we'll talk about this.
Yes.
We have had a back and forth about Jerome Powell and Donald Trump. I want to ask you 2 things. Do you believe Donald Trump can legally fire Jerome Powell? And do you think Donald Trump would, irregardless of your answer to the first question, do you think Donald Trump might fire Jerome Powell?
The second is easy. Yes, he may. On the first, if there's actual cause of malfeasance or a crime or misuse of funds, if there's a just cause, then he has the authority. But of course, what he's trying to do is manufacture this controversy about what Fed spending has taken place in some renovation, because he's just upset that Jerome Powell isn't lowering interest rates. And Jerome Powell keeps telling him, I want to lower interest rates, just stop announcing new tariffs every 30 days. I mean, it's not like Powell doesn't want to lower interest rates. I mean, he has actually the same incentive as Donald Trump. Both of them want a good economy. He's kind of telling Trump, look, I'm telling you what you need to do to have a good economy, and Trump's arguing with him.
All right, second new thing. You have been deeply involved, and I just want to get the latest because I have not been super on my phone in the last 45 minutes, on the release of the Jeffrey Epstein file.
I'm glad you had the release in there, not just deeply involved in the...
Yeah, deeply involved. No. You got to be really careful with your words there. With the release of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, this is something that has split the right. I saw right before I came on, Eric Burleson from Missouri, not exactly a common ally of yours, has signed off on a discharge petition. Give us the latest on it, why you got involved, the Rules Committee vote, and then where you think it might go.
Well, to me, this has been the biggest split, actually, in the MAGA base that I've seen in my time in Congress. Massey and I do a lot of stuff together, Thomas Massey from Kentucky. And we have been particularly collaborative on stopping overseas wars. We led together the Yemen War Powers Resolution that led to Trump in the first term voluntarily suspending refueling. We led together the Iran War Powers Resolution. And so he's been texting, and I've been talking to him, and he said, look, this is crazy. I mean, we should be on the side of getting this information released. Let's team up again. I said, absolutely. He said, can you deliver the Democrats? I said, Massey, that's easy. Yeah, well, I'll get you the 212 Democrats. What about the Republicans? He said, I can get Republicans. Now, when he said that about the Iran War Powers Resolution, we got one Republican, Thomas Massey.
He should have said, I can get Republican.
But this time, a few hours in, we've gotten 6 Republicans. Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Burchett, Burleson, Van Doren, and I forget the final name. He's texting, my phone's blowing up because he keeps texting me, hey, we got another Republican. I think, you tell me you've watched politics a long time. I'll tell you why I think this is such a big issue. Donald Trump's whole theme was that you've been screwed. You've been screwed because your jobs went offshore. You've been screwed because all the wealth's piling up in Rose District and you don't recognize yourself. You've been screwed, and I disagree with this, but his story, because your immigrants have taken your jobs. And you know what? This government has just been taken over by these rich and powerful people. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I played that game. I used to pay them off. I was part of that system. I'm going to tear down that system.
And in fact, he would say that regularly on the campaign. I know all these people. I know how to play the game better than them.
And I don't even think it matters if his name comes in the Epstein file. I think people just discount that. But what matters is that he's not releasing it. He's not exposing it. His whole thing was, I'm going to take these folks down. I'm going to take down and show people how corrupt government is, and it's not working for you. And that's why I think this has such resonance on both the left and the right, because there's a sense in both sides that life hasn't really been fair in America.
Give me your as honest as you can opinion. Discharge positions are very rare for people who don't know. It's very hard to make it happen. Give me your honest assessment of your chances here.
Honestly, I think the chances are very, very good that something is going to happen. Now, usually what happens is when you get momentum for a discharge petition, the speaker does something else, some other action happens. You already see Trump changing his position, right? First he was like, let's just move on, when he still has that, but then he's like, well, the critical information can get released. I would be shocked if there's not some release in response to this, whether it satisfies people or not, I don't know. But 6 Republicans, and prominent, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Burchett, prominent Republicans signing on within 2 hours leads me to believe that this is real. I mean, this is something that, it almost doesn't matter whether we get the vote. If you've got 225 people signed up or more, 10, 15 Republicans, and then they pull some maneuver like they did with Luna when she wanted to do the vote on moms being able to vote remotely, and they shut off the discharge petition. Okay, fine, that didn't capture the national interest. This would create headlines. So if they try a maneuver like that, it's almost as bad.
I want to talk about your party a little bit. So Zoran Mandani, the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City.
I saw him this morning.
I know he came to meet with folks. I became aware you were there. I have a few Mamdani-related thoughts. Give me your, number one, had you met him before in person? I don't know that. And number two, what's your overall Zoran Mandani read? And I have a broader Democratic question. Go ahead.
I had met him over breakfast, not well before he was Zoran, just like he's an assembly member who was part of the Democratic Socialists of America, and he was over breakfast, and I mean, it was fine, but I didn't pay much attention.
You weren't like, that guy's going to be the next
I didn't think that was guy. Of course, not that Zoran, I mean, he's very different than Obama, but I was at University of Chicago where Obama was a lecturer, and no one really paid attention to him either. And then 4 years later, he's, keynoting the Democratic convention. So my ability to spot these things isn't always
I will,
on.
just to make you feel better about Obama, I was at a small congressional publication at the time in 2002, maybe 2000, when Barack Obama was running against for the House. And I remember meeting him and coming out, and I was like, nobody named Barack Obama is going to win it. Yeah. It was against Bobby Rush. Now, he did lose that race, but he kind of went on to other things. Go ahead.
So, he was there. One, if you haven't met him, how many people here have ever met him or heard him talk other than on TV? All right, well, I
haven't met him, don't want to meet him.
I know News Nation. It's a fair place. I go on Cuomo all the time. But look, he's a talented politician. I mean, I say this in that if you just meet him and you see how he talks about the issues and you see his facility with issues, I think you'll find that he's a talented politician. Just on the out, Donald Trump's a very talented politician, right? I don't agree with him as a leader. He's a very talented politician. AOC is a very talented politician. Mamdani is a talented politician. The conversation, without going into anything detail, was really here are two of the people in modern politics who have been the best at digital organizing, digital video, and what is it that we need to do to be effective at that. And that's really what the conversation was. I saw Gottheimer there. I said, do we have a Middle East peace plan yet or not? And he left.
Yeah. Is he a good thing or a bad thing for the Democratic Party?
He's a good thing, and I'll tell you why. He has relentless energy. He knows how to win online. We got crushed online in 2024. He is focused ultimately on the economic issues, on how are we going to reduce costs, and showing people that we can reduce costs. And Democrats are going to be judged on their own positions. I mean, for example, I've said I condemn globalized intifada for the past 10 years. And if you're a good enough leader, a good enough politician, you will be judged based on what you stand for, not based on the associative property of everyone affiliated with you.
Are you surprised or not with the fact that a number of Democratic House members, I'm thinking of Tom Suozzi from New York, have come out and said, like, this is not my vision or version of the Democratic Party?
Well, I think Tom is speaking, one, authentically to who he is and to his district, and that's fine. I mean, Mamdani is not Hakeem Jeffries, and he's not our nominee in 2028, and he's not the Senate Majority Leader. He's the mayor of New York, and he's part of a interesting coalition. I mean, if you were to look at FDR and the New Deal, And look at Congressman Rankin. It was a vicious anti-Semite who was also a segregationist, and we would not have had the ability to have the electric Tennessee Valley without him. And so you can have in politics a view of total purity, or you could have, I guess, Donald Trump's view, like I'll make the deal with Robert Kennedy when Kamala Harris isn't, and win. And people who win usually have bigger coalitions.
I want to talk about the Democratic Party. You and I have talked about this before, but the Democratic Party right now, so much focus is on Trump. Trump is a scene eater. Whether you like him or you don't, the guy just draws a lot of oxygen. But the Democratic Party, according to every poll that I've seen, is at or close to, brand-wise, the lowest it's been in 4 decades.
Yeah.
People saying, do you have the basic question, do you have a favorable or unfavorable view of the Democratic Party? Number one, why is that? Mm-hmm. And number two, how the heck do you solve for that? Or what is Ro Khanna's answer to solve for that?
Look, I think 3 reasons I would tell you why we're in the place we are. First, how did we allow Donald Trump to win twice, right? I mean, you know, we must have done something wrong as a party. You can't argue that the party is succeeding when this person, Donald Trump, with the favorability he has, wins twice.
Yep.
And wins all 7 swing states. Second, total up all of the years, one of the tests I say is total up all the years that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have in elective office, and total up all the years Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have in elective office.
Yep.
The people who are out there speaking for us have been in office since the 1970s, 1980s, and like the ones who are the next generation, like Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom, been there since like the late 1990s. J.D. Vance got elected in like 2020, right? AOC got elected in 2018. And so we've become affiliated with the status quo. And third, we became, for whatever reason, the party, the non-rebellious, the non-independent party. We became the party that said, we're going to tell you what to do and things are fine. And the Republicans became the party with the edge. And they're the party with a little bit of a rebelliousness. So those, I think, are the overarching regions. Obviously, I have my own vision and my own ideology of where I think the party should go. But I think on a deeper place, whether you're a progressive like me or a more centrist, I think people would probably agree with that general assessment.
And do you, I want to talk about 2028 and you, but before we get there, do you think is talking about, well, is the party going to nominate a liberal or a moderate, is that the right frame in 2028? Is that the right frame to think about? Is that the frame you think about it with?
I think the first frame is, are you going to be more of the same, or are you going to be something truly different, fresh, different, willing to challenge the establishment? And that, to me, is, are you an insider or an outsider? Less about, are you going to fight or not fight? More, are you going to be something fresh? And that fresh could be someone progressive or not progressive. But I do think the ideological debates actually will matter in this party. I mean, are you for Medicare for all or not? Are you for taxing people who are wealthy or not? Are you for having a universal child care, $10 a day or not? The idea that Democratic voters aren't going to care about that and they'll just care about the aesthetic certainly hasn't been true in recent primaries, hasn't been true in congressional primaries, and I don't think it'll be true in 2028.
I don't know that everyone is aware that you've been doing this, but one of the things that you've been doing is going around the country to districts that Republicans won.
Right.
Why? And then what have you heard?
So there are 2 things I've been doing. One, for the past 9 years, going to towns and communities that have been deindustrialized and hard hit. Places like Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Lorain, Ohio, Warren, Ohio, Downriver, Michigan, Plainsville, Kentucky, and listening to people. And I show up and they say, okay, he's this Indian guy from Silicon Valley. We don't know much about him, but he probably understands tech. He probably understands the future of some things about the economy. My district has 5 companies in 50-mile radius that are $1 trillion or more. NVIDIA, Apple, Google, Tesla, and Broadcom. And you see the story of these towns, hollowed out, manufacturing left, people saying their kids can't live here, one-way tickets out, totally abandoned. And so one of the things I learned is the governing class's failure in this country. You can't have a nation half prosperous and half in decline. And the Democratic Party's biggest betrayal has been a neglect of communities in this country that have been hollowed out and declining while we've had islands of prosperity. More recently, I've gone to Republican districts with large Medicaid population and tried to galvanize people to say, look, really, for the working class and you want to cut Medicaid? You know, what we really need to do is expand Medicaid. And my district doesn't need more tax breaks. I don't understand it, really. All the billionaires, statistically, are in my district. The guy who represents all the wealth, more wealth generated in my zip code than has ever been generated in the history of humanity, literally. And I'm like, tax the billionaires. They still keep sending me to Congress. Why is this a hard vote for 434 other members of Congress? You know who gets it is Steve Bannon. He's like, yeah, tax the billionaires. Tax them so we can have working class families have a fair shot. So I've been going in these districts and trying this message. Now, in fairness, 90% of people who show up are Democrats or independents, but they're showing up. Once I had Trump protesters in Allentown show up, 30 of them, and this is why I tell every Democrat they need to go on Fox News, because one of the people yells out, Khanna, and I look up, I'm a little startled. She says, can I get a selfie? I said, yes, absolutely. I saw you on Fox News. So we start to talk, and they come into my town hall. And, you know, they don't agree with everything, but some of the things they start to agree with. And so by conversations like that, you start to learn a little bit more about your own blind spots. And then I want to let you answer. But one of the big problems with the Democratic Party has been that we were way too judgmental of people who voted for Donald Trump. The best story ever done on me was a guy named Russell Berman. He's a journalist at The Atlantic. He followed me back to Bucks County. We met with my favorite social studies teacher from 10th grade. And at the end of it, I mean, this guy's effusive and praising me and that I showed such a passion at a young age. And Berman says, would you vote for him? And the guy says, I voted for Donald Trump twice. And that was the first time I realized that my favorite social studies teacher had voted for Donald Trump twice. We acted as if the problem was the voters. The problem was the party. And we acted with a condescension and a judgment on voters. And that's, I think, the first thing we need to change.
Okay, last thing. You will later this week, Friday, go to South Carolina for several days. I am old enough to know that a politician from California doesn't go to South Carolina. I mean, it's lovely, a little hot this time of year, but doesn't go to South Carolina on accident. Are you running for president? Are you thinking about running for president? When will you make a decision about that?
Well, first of all, I focus obviously on the House, taking out of the House, going to Nancy Mace's district, which I do think could be competitive, with Jonathan Jackson going to Timmons's district. And I've been working with Mr. Clyburn for many years on getting Silicon Valley tech partnerships with Claflin and South Carolina State, and not just in South Carolina, Jackson State and other broader regional HBCUs down in the Black South. But I want to be part of the future conversation in this party. I believe we need a 21st century economic jobs vision in this country. How are we going to actually create 21st century jobs in every part of the country? I believe we need a new economic patriotism. Donald Trump's right. We need to bring manufacturing back, but he's not going to do it just by tariffs. We need to have federal investments. We need 1,000 trade schools. We need AI academies. And I believe that I have a vision that is the right vision for this country's economic renewal to lead China. And I want that vision out there. Now, whether I run or whether I get behind someone and have a network that can then support them, I haven't decided. But I do know this: the Democratic Party has not had a compelling economic vision for years. I have a compelling economic vision. I know what this country needs to do to have prosperity in different parts. I know what this country needs to do to win in the 21st century. And if the Democrats win on that issue, a lot of the other issues will fall by the wayside, because this country, and maybe this country, what inspires me ultimately is when my parents came to America in the 1960s. It was John F. Kennedy years, going to the moon. This was the place to be. We were humming. We were brimming with confidence. We've got to build that country again. I see that country in Silicon Valley. I see that the world is the oyster for young people. We can do that across this country, and I want that to be part of the conversation.
I have more questions, but I'm being told it's the end. Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go that way. Thank you, my friend.